the 10th anniversary celebration of the Center for Public Deliberation. I'm Katie Noblock, and I'm the Associate Director of the Center. And Martine Carson and I wanted to thank all of you for being here tonight. And more importantly, we wanted to thank all of you for all of the important work that you all do to create a more engaged, informed, and inclusive Northern Colorado community. The CPD could not operate without the help of many of you here, from faculty and staff in the Department of Communication Studies and the College of Liberal Arts, to the public officials across the region, the folks in the City of Fort Collins government, all of our community partners and volunteers, and of course the many students who've devoted countless hours to making our community a better place to live. We're primarily here tonight to celebrate, but we wanted to spend a little bit of time hearing from some of you about what the CPD has meant to you and the work that we do. So we're going to begin tonight's presentations with a short video from the president of CSU, Tony Frank. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here tonight, but he was kind enough to send in a video.
When we talk about re-envisioning Colorado State University, the Center for Public Deliberation provides a great model for how we can reimagine our work as educators and scholars in different and transformative ways. The CPD model stands in sharp contrast to the metaphor of the ivory tower, with its compartmentalized disciplines and students who sit in chairs just waiting to be lectured to. Students involved with the CPD are immersed in high-impact practices that drive real, in-depth learning. And the impact on our community is also profound, as the CPD builds our capacity to address community problem solving around complex issues. Martine Carcassonne has recognized that 21st century universities aren't just about generating new knowledge and expertise, but also about helping people apply that expertise proactively and collaboratively in real-world settings. Almost 19,000 people have participated in events with the CPD in the last 10 years. And between their meeting management, data analysis, planning, and follow-up, Martine and his students have provided services to the community through CPD that are valued at roughly $1.5 million. The impact on our community and campus has been enormous, and we are all better for it. Martine, thank you for helping us all to do better at communicating and problem solving, whether we're talking about diversity, parking, or even a new stadium. Thank you for your passion and dedication to teaching and for offering our students a rare type of learning experience. And thank you to everyone involved with the CPD for a great 10 years. We're so proud that you're a part of Colorado State University.
All right, next I'd like to welcome a CSU alumni, Mayor Wade Troxel. Mayor Troxel and all of the folks at the City of Fort Collins have not only partnered with us on numerous events throughout our decade of operation, but they've also helped to make sure that our work has an impact and that we can move beyond talk into actual action in our community. So let's give a warm welcome to Mayor Troxel.
Thank you so much. You know, talking about community, that means so many things, right? I mean, I look at this crowd and I see my life in so many ways of people in this room. I see the church I grew up in, I see the community I grew up in, I see my neighborhood, I see my university that I got my 3 degrees, I've been on the faculty, and I see so many things that are reflective just in this room. And then the intersection of all that is Martine and the Center for Public Deliberation. And what does that say? Well, I have a messy life. And we all live in a messy world, right? And there's the wicked problems that really define everything. And as Tony pointed out in his comments, you know, the university is really set up nicely around disciplines, and then we have core bodies of knowledge, and we have faculty doing specific things. And you know what? The Center for Public Deliberation and what Martine is doing is really the epitome of what the university should be doing. Totally engaged in the community and doing things that really have impact in the community. And I mean community in all the different facets of what is community. You know, I think of a faculty member, and I've always tried to, in my career as a faculty member, really engage at the edge of the university. And it's oftentimes very difficult for a faculty member to do that sort of thing because it's not fully recognized within the academy. I think of Ernest Boyer and Scholarship Reconsidered, Revisited, and it was really envisioning engagement of the faculty and the students and the research in this sort of way where it's not nice and cleanly defined. When you're in the classroom, you're teaching, and when you cross the hall with your white lab coat, you're in the lab. And then when you go out to the service club to give a talk, you're doing your service. It's really engaged in the community, in your scholarship, with your teaching, with your service. And when it's totally blurred, you're actually really accomplishing the purpose, I believe, of what Abraham Lincoln had with the land-grant institution. And that's really to serve the community. And that's what the Center for Public Deliberation has been doing. And so again, looking at the crowd in all the different communities, I see it impacting the civil discourse of our community in all different sorts of ways. So many issues today are framed in terms of a confrontational sort of a way, or two sides, and really a lot of it is, and I've seen this in my role as an elected official, is really we're in agreement 95% of the time. And why can't we have this civil discourse about what that means and how we engage in making our community better for all in all different sorts of ways, but also share opinions and ideas and all those sorts of things. And that is possible. And that is what Martine and the students have been doing, and that's the vision. I participated in one of his workshops this summer, and Martine shared when he was, finished his PhD and working at a national level and coming to the realization that you just won't have an impact, in your career. So really thinking about it down at a local level and in the community in all different sort of way in terms of doing that can truly make a difference, and we're seeing that. In the last couple of days, I've been in different venues down in Colorado Municipal League. Yesterday we had city council members from Colorado Springs here. We talked about the Center for Public Deliberation and the service that it provides to our community. I advocate a lot of times the triple helix, the public sector, the private sector, and the research university, and really coming together in alignment, doing things in ways that are truly transformative. And I think that is happening here with the Center for Public Deliberation. And I also talk about the university city as a new species of a city. What makes Fort Collins a special place? Well, Fort Collins was founded in 1864, and CSU was founded in 1870. So we're very much joined at the hip right from the very beginning. And sure, it's an institution of higher education, but it's more than that. It's where the teaching, research, and the engagement is a critical part of our community. The students provide an evergreen community with ever fresh 18-year-olds to 24 and so forth. But also, when we can truly engage with our private sector partners and with the university and our public sector, so there's so many ways that the Center of Public Deliberation has come together and engaged and facilitated discussions within our communities on these wicked problems, ones that don't have simple answers. They're not ones that you can convince with facts and that sort of thing, but you really need to have a deliberation discussion. And I think, what do we get as an outcome of all this? I think we get to a more civil society. And I think we get to a point where it's great in terms of educating our students, but also our community and each other as to how we can have these conversations and get better and do better as a community. So it's really an honor for me, one, to serve as your mayor, but two, to work with Martine and the students and a lot of city staff and people in our community, and really to have these honest conversations in ways that can truly be transformative in our community and make our community better. So I'd just like to thank Martine, and congratulations, Martine, on 10 years, and truly honored to be here to celebrate with you all today. So thank you very much.
All right. Next, we'll hear from some of the students themselves. The students are truly the heart of the work that we do here at the CPD, from facilitation to process design and implementation to data gathering and issue analysis. Our work would not be possible without the many dedicated students working to make our community and our world a better place. Martine and I are so privileged to work with such dedicated and passionate students, and I hope that they inspire all of you as much as they inspire both of us every day. In just a minute, we'll hear from some of our alumni, but first I'd like to acknowledge all of our current and former students here tonight. So could all of you who have been CPD student associates please stand up so that we can give you a thanks and a round of applause. Again, thank you to all of you, and we are so proud of each and every one of you. Now, two of our alumni, Rebecca Everett, who now works with the City of Fort Collins, and Jack Becker, who works in the Office of Family and Community Engagement for Denver Public Schools, are going to say a few words.
Good evening, I'm Jack Becker. I'm very honored to give a speech in front of comms professors tonight. That's exactly what I was looking to do. I came to CSU in 2007, and I was an undeclared major. And after taking a course with Elizabeth Sink, who I know is here tonight, quickly declared communication studies. Elizabeth Sink was talking about this Center for Public Deliberation, and at some point I think Martine came in and told us a little bit about the program. And as my second semester as a freshman, I asked him if I could apply. And he sort of thought about it for a second and said, you know, I kind of want to reserve some space for upper class men and women who are here. And so the next semester, I pushed him a little bit further. And he said, okay, you know, your fourth semester, so the second half of your sophomore year, we'll bring you on, you know. And he took a gamble with me, right? And now I think back on that moment, and I realize how it wasn't a gamble. It was really him thinking about students as an investment, and an investment in the community. I went on to work at the Kettering Foundation, which was one of the the hearts of thinking and acting for this type of democratic thinking and democratic world, acting within the nation, but also around the world. And after talking with professors at universities around the country, around the world, community members, quickly came to realize how different the Center for Public Deliberation was from other hubs of democratic or community or citizenship, whatever they're called around the country. This one was bridging multiple sectors, was taking students and getting them outside the confines of the campus, getting them working within the community. And to me, that was an amazing realization. After that, I went and I worked in Syracuse and studied in Syracuse. And I was recruited by someone who knew the reputation of the center. I had been recruited to work in West Virginia, which I did not end up going there, but just the reputation that the Center for Public Deliberation does carry, in my mind, is astounding. In my current work in Denver Public Schools, I find myself constantly looking for the impartial resource, the impartial partner who's going to step up and help us organize families in being advocates in their child's education, in pushing Denver Public Schools to be better providers and stewards of public education. And I won't go as far as to say that doesn't exist in Denver, but I will definitely tell you that on many occasions I've thought, how can we get Martine down to Denver? How, Mr. Mayor, can we get a high-speed train from Fort Collins to Denver? Would make that easier. Senator Gonzalez knows exactly what I'm talking about. So, it's amazing for me as I look when I came in at all the pictures outside, and to see 10 years, Martine, is truly amazing. It did strike me that you took the pictures at different times of day because of the angle of the sun, but we'll consult on that later. And you know, I know just I wasn't asked to say this, but you know, yesterday was Giving Tuesday, and like for me, on Giving Tuesday, I always think about where can I renew my commitment. And over the years, I've given a little bit here and there to the center when they're going to conferences and whatnot. But I think if it's something that you have been considering and you can stomach it after purchasing the wine tonight, you should.
I'm Rebecca Everett. I was in the same class at the CPD with Jack and Derry and probably some others who are out in the audience. And I also felt like Martine kind of took a gamble on me and including me in the program when I was a student. I was one of the first students from outside the communications department to participate in the student associate program. I was in the College of Natural Resources. And I had a strong interest in environmental issues, but more specifically the dialogue that we have as communities around environmental issues and breaking through the polarized nature of those conversations. And that's something that has prepared me well for the career that I'm in now as an environmental planner for the city of Fort Collins. So I've had the opportunity to merge my interest in improving discourse around sensitive topics with my love for the community that I live in. And the skills and experience that I developed at the CPD were really critical in that. I deal with development projects and issues that are pretty controversial at the local level on a daily basis. A lot of issues that involve emotion, tension, very personal values, feelings, opinions, and the ability to cut through that emotion and understand what's motivating people and how to come to people where they're at and how to have an honest, open dialogue about some of these wicked problems is really important in our community, and it's a concept that the city of Fort Collins, our residents and our community leaders have really embraced. So like Mayor Troxel mentioned, it's a pretty unique relationship that the CPD has forged between the university and the city. A lot of communities talk about town-gown relationships, and they give kind of lip service to this idea of cities and universities partnering together. But here in Fort Collins, we actually do that, and CPD has been such a strong player in advocating for better engagement of our residents around very important topics that affect all of our daily lives. So it's been a real privilege to work kind of on both sides here in Fort Collins, both with the CPD and now, as a city staff person working out in the community. And it's created some really unique opportunities, I think, for all of the students who have been a part of this program, and I'm really appreciative for that.
So finally, I'd like to introduce the man who made all of this possible, Martine Carcason. Martine came to CSU in 2003 and started the Center for Public Deliberation in 2006. He's not only recently been promoted to full professor, Martine has also trained hundreds of students in facilitation and community engagement, and he's planned, implemented, and facilitated countless community meetings that have engaged thousands of our local citizens and asked them to take part in the important and often difficult work of local democracy. He's inspired and made possible not only the work of all of us here tonight, but educators and practitioners across the country. The CPD has become a model that has now been replicated in communities across the nation, with over 70 other centers for public life that have been based off the model that Martine created right here at CSU. It is no exaggeration to say that Martine has been a key piece in improving democracy, not only in our community, but across the country. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Martine Carcason and give him a huge thank you.
I don't get nervous speaking very often. This is a little different. I mean, what a room. I mean, for me, I mean, my wife and children and my father are over here. Obviously, my colleagues in my department have supported me in the CPD so much over the last 10 years, allowing me to do this. Obviously, most of my favorite students that I've had for the last 10 years, which is always a really cool thing for a professor to do. And then just a whole bunch of community members that have worked with some of y'all I haven't seen in 4 or 5 years, so it's so great and so appreciative that you come out for this. So to be looking out at this room of my people is rather sublime and kind of overwhelming in some ways. I hope you all get a chance to have this experience, preferably before your funeral, because then you get to experience it a little better. But I do, as you walk out, some of y'all signage going in, but we have like a big frame that you can kind of write on the outside of the frame and sign your name and things like that. And we're going to put a picture in the middle of it. So this is the picture we're going to put in the middle of it. So if y'all want to kind of smile and look up here, I'll kind of capture it from up here. So we kind of have the whole room. Yeah.
We're all just sitting here like...
I don't like See, when I'm in pictures, you see how much hair I used to have when I started this thing, and now how hard the work is. But it is great to get a chance to stop and celebrate. Obviously, for a lot of us that are focused on community and the quality of our democracy, it's been a tough few months on how divided we are. As the mayor kind of said, my work used to focus on national politics. When I came to CSU 13 years ago, I made that transition from focusing on from national to local, because I wanted to make an impact. And I knew in my classrooms I was sparking a different kind of conversation, and I was curious to what degree could I transfer that to the community when I didn't have great power over people. And so we started the CPD 3 years in, and I feel that we've really been able to kind of do that in important ways. And I think we've shown that you can have authentic conversations about really difficult issues, and people that are really disagree with good structure and a chance to really face each other, you can get past those caricatures. And I keep on saying, no matter how bad it seems to get at the national level, most of that polarization is kind of contrived and false. And I truly believe, and this is a lot of the work that I do now, is that cities are going to save our democracy, because at the city level we have to talk to each other, we have to work together, we actually have to solve problems, we can't just play the game. And as it seems to get worse in some ways at the national level, I think I'm just more and more heartened that the local level will start figuring it out. And part of the work that I do is trying to help people start centers like the CPD kind of nationwide. And part of my dream, hopefully in the next 10 years we start getting closer to this. Every college and every university in the country, if they have a program like this and they have students like we have, what impact could that make on us? Right? But what I primarily want to do today is continue the thanks, because this is co-creation is the big hot word now in cities, and clearly the CPD has been co-created in lots of different ways. And again, looking out at the audience here, I do want to particularly thank my department, Communication Studies, and the College of Liberal Arts, and the university for creating this. If this works for you. Oh, this was actually, if you look at your table, there's an article that I wrote in the Coloradan, the editor here, to kind of announce the CPD to the community. This was back in, I think the article was in January of 2017, right before our first big event, to kind of introduce ourselves and ask the community, what kind of issues do we need to be talking about? And this is the cake that we had there. A lot of my writings back then would end with this phrase. And I like the phrase from the preamble because it is the notion that we're never going to perfect this. We're never going to get this exactly right. But it's all about striving towards this more perfect union. And hopefully in the last 10 years, we've done quite a few projects the last 10 years. The font keeps on getting smaller and smaller. These are just kind of our major ones, but hopefully a lot of y'all see your project up there. But these are the things that we're doing, that we've been doing the last 10 years to try to kind of work towards that more perfect democracy. And I do feel that we have made an impact in some ways as we've gone through. But really, tonight I wanted to kind of thank the department. This is actually if y'all saw this on Facebook, there we go. This was actually where the CPD was officially born. This was November 11th, 2002. This came across, at least born for me. I guess they had to create this, so it was done a little bit before that. But that was when I was finishing out my PhD at Texas A&M and saw the job offer at Colorado State. And if you can't read the highlighted part of my job that I applied for was the ability to coordinate a campus and community-based public speaking program involving moral performance, value and policy analysis, discussion of significant issues, and the promotion of civic engagement. So that's the ball that I was handed, and we took off with, and we co-created what became the CPD with that. So I want to thank the department for having the foresight. If you didn't know, that the department used to support the debate program, decided to end that support for a variety of reasons, and then the CPD kind of came out of that in some ways, of looking at the power of deliberation to bring us together versus focusing so much on the power of debate. I also want to obviously thank the community. Again, I try to help people start this in lots of different communities, and every time I do that, I realize how lucky I am to be in Fort Collins, how ready y'all were for this and wanting this, and it was so easy. When we started, I thought my students and I would pick a topic and get a room in the library and see if we can get 20 people to show up to have an interesting conversation. A lot of y'all have heard this story. I was applying for a grant that required an advisory board, so I made some cold calls. I called the city and the school district and those type of things. I just told them, I'm a communication professor, I'm starting this group to help us have tough conversations about tough issues. And just from that, we got jobs. Right? Particularly Ellen Lalvon, who was the PR person for the school district at that time, said, we're running a meeting in 3 weeks, you think you can run it for us? Sure, so we ran it, it went well, and they called us back to run more. And then every meeting we ran, someone else would walk up to us and say, hey, can you move this for us? So all those events that you saw kind of earlier, almost every single one of those was the community coming to us. Me getting an email or me getting a phone call saying, we saw what you did there, could you do that with us? Right? And I think that shows clearly that communities want this. I think people are really begging for authentic engagement and conversation if we actually provide them the opportunity to actually have that as they go through. And then I also want to obviously thank the students. Like Katie said, the students are the heartbeat of this. I have to admit, we primarily rely on students because that's what was most of my time. So I had to kind of incorporate to a class, and it's thankfully worked much better than I ever imagined in some sense. I thought we'd be limited to what topics we could take on and who would take these college students seriously and those type of things. But as we've gone 3 years in, we knew they could take on anything. And the students just kind of constantly amaze me and constantly, take the ball and run with it and kind of show how we can do this. And we were basically the first program in the nation that relied on students the way we're doing. There's a lot of Centers for Public Life. I didn't start all of those, but the ones that really focus on students, we were the first to actually have curriculum tied to it, and most of the facilitation, most of the behind the scenes work was done by the students. And we've shown you could do that, and that's what's now been replicated over and over across the country. And then we're hoping to kind of do that more. So I want to, again, give a big thanks to all the students over the years that took a chance on me, took a chance on this program that sounded kind of weird, and got you out of the classroom, and put you in interesting situations with lots of interesting people at your table. And we're willing to kind of do that. And then the number one thing I always hear from the community at the end of our events is they walk up to me and say, where did you find these students? And so I think part of what we do is we help the town gown kind of relationships here, because we expose the community to the good students and the really smart students, and the impressive students, the students that are not only at a public meeting, but actually running a public meeting, which is great. So with that, the cake that we'll eat kind of at the end is 10 more years towards a War Perfect Union. So we'll be working nationally, but also kind of locally to kind of continue this, and I hope that you stick with us to continue to co-create and kind of build this as we make this and continue to make this program. Right? So we're going to do something different now. We're starting an awards series, so hopefully every year we want to give an award. We're going to give an award to an individual and to an organization, just to kind of honor them for the impact that they make on their community. Right? So we got 2 awards to kind of give out tonight. So first, for the individual awards, actually a couple. I'd like to ask Miles and Carol Crane to come join us. I assume many of you know Miles and Carol. I know most of my students do. We started working together, I think 7 or 8 years ago, and they've been kind of mainstays for the CPD. They came to one of the community workshops that the mayor kind of mentioned. At that point, we were training community people to help with facilitation, so we had more as we to help with different events, and they were always eager, always willing to kind of step up and help us on different things. They actually come out to the Thomas Clark Retreat Center almost every semester when we're training the new students to help train the new students and meet with them and kind of talk to them, and they've just been a great advocate. And even beyond the CPD, their own work, really involved in the Human Relations Commission. We bring in the CPD and the HRC kind of ran a meeting together on elder abuse a few years ago, and then all 3 of us have been really involved with the Partnership for Age-Friendly Communities. which is an organization that kind of came out of some meetings that the CPD ran with the Senior Center and the Senior Advisory Board here that has grown. It's a project we've now, we're in our 4th or 5th year, and now it's a full-fledged organization. And Miles and Miles and Carol have both been very instrumental for that. So I want to thank you. The award is the Community Impact Award for their outstanding contributions to meaningful engagement in the Northern Colorado community.
Thank you, Martine, very, very much. And congratulations on your 10 years. We are very honored to at least be a very, very small part of the Center for Public Deliberation. And we are extremely appreciative of this award. I remember it was about 8 years ago, I was part of Character Fort Collins, and someone from our group asked Martine to come and help us with strategic planning. So I went to that meeting and I listened to Martine talk about the Center of Public Deliberation, and I got very, very curious. And that was when I got the idea, why can't you have community associates facilitate? So I had a little talk with him. And I don't know how it happened, but somehow or other, it did happen, and it's been a ball for both of us. We've had so many interesting, fun, and hard work experiences with the Center for Public Deliberation. And one of the things that I have to say for all of you students who are currently students of Martine's or have been students of Martine's, I wonder if you have any idea about how fortunate you are. This man, I'm sure you all know, he is a genius. And he is absolutely wonderful to have as a mentor, because after all is said and done, this is a mentor that really cares about each and every one of his students. So that's one thing. The second thing is CSU. I believe that CSU is very aware of how fortunate they are to have Martine here with the Center of Public Deliberation. Like Martine has said, Martine is known throughout his field as someone who is very, very precious. And I was at a meeting. And I have been at a meeting where there were representatives from other universities wanting to pick his brain and wanting his help to start his program at their universities. So CSU is extremely fortunate to have him, and I know Miles and I hope you stay forever. You've been a wonderful, wonderful friend to us, and thank you very much. We really, really appreciate you.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, full Professor Martine Garbus. And thank you, CPD friends, staff, and all the people that came here tonight. You know, there are quite a few good volunteers in our community, and Carol and I are truly honored and humbled to be part of them and to receive this award tonight. A little bit ago, Lauren Gustin from the Colorado asked me, can you tell me about the award? And I said, we're going to have to wait to hear from Martine, but it's called the Community Impact Award. And it's kind of appropriate because I'd like to talk to you briefly about some of the ways that CPD this year and in prior years, but it'll be fairly brief, have had an impact on our community. For example, among the many contributions in 2016, CPD ran something known as a Community Information Forum. And they produced a report of over 100 pages for the city after that. They ran another forum called The Art of Belonging. CPD helped the city in terms of city planning and administrators looking at environmental, economic, and social sustainability to keep our city healthy. And Concerning the Partnership for Age-Friendly Communities, Martine was instrumental in having that organization receive a national designation this year as an ARP age-friendly community, something we're very, very proud of. A couple of the areas that Carol and I find really memorable in terms of CPD earlier experience. The first was the Silver Tsunami Golden Opportunity. For that three-part series, the City of Fort Collins and CPD won an award of recognition from the state of Colorado. The second thing I want to cite, Martine has already mentioned it, is the Elder Abuse Forum, which was done with the Human Relations Commission at the Senior Center. What was special about that is that prior to that forum, Colorado was only one of 4 states in the country that didn't have an elder abuse reporting requirement. And subsequent to the forum, 7 months later, legislation was passed in Colorado, and we now have that requirement. I'm looking at the man, Senator Kafalas, who was there that night together with State Representative Janal, to give us a promise they were going to put it through. And we're very, very grateful for what you did with that. Almost done. Carol and I very much enjoyed working with the CPD students and the CSU students, helping out with the city, with the Partnership for Age-Friendly Communities, and with the Larimer County Office on Aging. Both of us are looking forward very much to continue volunteer activity and to help you out, Martine, in any way we possibly can. There is no question that you are an invaluable resource to our community, and we are truly blessed to have you and Tracy and his 3 darling children there living in Fort Collins. Without any further ado, happy birthday, happy anniversary, CPD.
For some reason, I knew that 2 minutes to make remarks wasn't going to be. And now I'd like to announce for our Community Impact Award for an organization that we want to honor the Bohemian Foundation. The Bohemian Foundation has been here since the very beginning, actually even before we were officially a center. The first Faros grant that I received from the Bohemian Foundation actually provided funds for myself and Jenny Sawyer, who I think was in the room earlier, I don't know if she's still in the room, that we got a chance to spend a week in Washington, D.C. to do training with the International Association of Public Participation. And that training kind of created a relationship with the city that has continued for 10 years. At that point, Jenny Sawyer was with the Neighborhood Resources Department. Now she's in the city manager's office with special projects, and that's where we launched together the Community Issues Forum that we've been doing the last 4 years. So that was really kind of a huge launch. And then they've supported us throughout with the Faros grant, providing money for us to have graduate students to kind of help with the work and basically to have more events. We've always been able to not charge for our events. We do all the events as a public service. We want it that way. We want to do the projects that need to be done versus the projects that have funding. And the Bohemian Foundation has been a huge part of why we're able to do that throughout. So thank you very much for the Bohemian Foundation.
Because I know there's a cake that's just around the corner. So I want to, on behalf of everybody at Bohemian Foundation, congratulations, certainly to Martine, but everybody involved with CPD. We know when there's a brilliant idea, there's always a genius leader making things happen, but there are dozens and dozens and dozens of people who believe in the vision and passionately contribute their energy to making that a reality every single day. So I suspect many of you in this room have put your heart and soul into this work. So congratulations to you on a fantastic 10 years. To the students who are in this room, watch out. We can't wait to see how you continue to change communities now and into whatever path you go into in the future. So thank you for all you do. Every day, my job as part of the community programs team at Bohemian Foundation is to look into our community to see bright ideas of people and organizations who are strengthening our vibrant community. We love CPD because we know CPD is making hard conversations happen and bringing voices that aren't typically at the table to be a part of those conversations. And so we know we've got challenges we're facing today, but certainly challenges that we're more prepared to face for the future because of Martine and all of you in this room. So way to go. Let's eat some cake, I think. And congratulations again to everybody.
We are almost fully done. So I want to introduce, huh? What?
Rick.
Oh. So Rick Marietta, the provost, is here. Are you speaking now?
No, that's okay. Thank you, Martine.
So to send us on our way to cake is my department head, Dr. Greg Dickinson.
I always say I'm going to give the shortest speech, but I can't now because Rick just did. So I should probably just say thank you, Martine. You know, the first thing we ever taught in the West in a formal way was public communication. This happened back about the time of, a little bit before Plato, the pre-Socratic thinkers. And the reason, there are lots of reasons why public speaking was the first thing we taught. But one of them is because communication, they understood in ancient Greece, and we understand still today. Communication constitutes us. It's not simply a tool we use to get some work done, like a hammer to build a building. It's the thing that makes us who we are. From the very beginning then of at least Western culture, and really you can see this around the world, once you begin to develop a liberal arts version of education, you develop understandings of public communication. Today, the Department of Communication Studies in my world is the center of a liberal arts education. It's the place where we train people to have careful and hard conversations. We do that out of an amazing body of scholarship. We do that as great teachers, and we take that out into the community. So if the Department of Communication Studies is the heart of the liberal arts and has been at least since the time of Cicero. The CPD is the heart of the Department of Communication Studies, bringing together great scholarship with amazing teaching, and then the students out in the community making a difference in your world. I don't know how else we do this work. Plato said that the character is demonstrated, character, ethos is demonstrated by the ways we talk. Never before have we needed so much careful talking to demonstrate good character. And I'm guessing never before we needed cake so badly. Thank you and have a great evening. Thanks for coming.